What is up? Welcome back to another video on the Nomad. So we finally got our stuff back from the blaster Monday afternoon. We took care of a bunch of business stuff we had to take care of this morning, meeting with a client and so on and so forth. So we went ahead and picked up our stuff from the blaster. So I'll go over that with you guys really quick. So here is the cargo floor that we will be using, because it's still got the mounting flanges on it in good shape. The spare tire tub sucks, so we'll probably be swapping it out with that one. And we got to get some of the old bracketry that was just torched out. So where the floor pan pinches and stuff, we got to get that off, as well as some stuff at the back / pieced in, because where they torched it, I'm going to need the back section of it. But anyway, overall, it's in pretty good shape. Got like one patch to do on this over in, let's see, that corner right here. But overall, this thing's in really good shape. And that's the spare one for parts and such. Now, I do believe these were just off of pretty sure those were just off a wagon, if I'm not mistaken. And then I got the other tail section over here, which I know this was off a wagon because a few things are a little different than the Nomad. But what's the same are these little braces right here. That guy and that guy. And as you can tell, they're in really good shape. So there's it's upside down, but here's your tail pan and your tailgate hinges. So I just have it upside down right now, but I need to get these braces off and transfer them to the new panel / new panel. So I'm going to do a little bit of measuring and get an idea of where these are exactly at. That way I can get them in the correct position on the new piece. So we're going to go ahead and get these things drilled out, measure them, see where the heck they're at, and get these things ready to be transferred over to the new piece. And I went ahead and got this thing in red oxide. I left this area open because I'll be spot welding to this area. Probably might throw some weld through primer on it. And then I need to clean up a couple other areas where we'll be spot welding too. But I won't know that until I get some holes popped in that thing and line it up and figure out where it's gonna be. Ran out of primer through it, so I didn't get this side of the brace done. Same with the other one, but overall, we got it. We got her tossed on there, got her protected for now. So go ahead and get to this, get these things cut out. All right, we got her all finished up. As you can see, found and drilled all the spot welds out. And it just shows you how inconsistent and not perfect the factory was. Here's the driver's side brace. And they had 3 spot welds on one side, and that whole bracket was sticking up on this side. So they're not always done perfect or even from the factory. You know, you think you would have had one here, 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 and here, but instead they just, boop, all one corner. Same with the other one. But it may have just been that was the easiest. That's all they could get to with the machine. I don't know. But yeah, we got them out. So we are ready to, I already did my measurements on where those braces go in accordance with this panel. I got it converted over to this panel. Got my measurements written down in the back so I don't forget, so we can get our area cleaned up and whatnot and get these things welded in. So I'm gonna do some mock-up and pre-fit and stuff before I do any welding or take you guys along, because I want to make sure I can get this right without having to worry about filming. So I'll update you guys as soon as I get this stuff all mocked up. Okay, just been doing a little mock-up here, so show you where I'm at. Got this side lined up pretty good. I got an added flange to weld to be able to pinch those two together. Same with this side. Got this side fitting pretty decent. Now this is sitting a little high from where it goes, but this flange is kind of buckled up that way, so I need to knock it down. But it's an aftermarket piece. That's kind of obvious, and it gets tweaked in shipping and things like that. So not a big deal. Overall, I'm really happy with that fit. It's looking pretty good. And then under here, so I got this measured. There's my marks, 10 inches from the flange on the passenger side, 10 3/4 from the flange on the driver's side. There's my mark to the bracket. There's my mark to the edge of the bracket. So here's my passenger side bracket. So it'll pretty much sit about like this right here. So ought to be perfect. I'm happy. So what I'll do is go ahead, get my little flanges made for this, get everything prepped. I'll probably get this thing tacked in place. That way it's stable and I know it's where it wants to be, where it needs to be. Then I can go through, mark, clean up, and put those little braces in. So go ahead and get to this and hopefully get this thing knocked out. Okay, let's give it an update on where we're at. Got my panel all prepped. Got my spot weld holes all made. Got my flanges cleaned up. And the reason I'm not punching holes through these ones is because I did it on the flange over here itself, because I can get my welder in back there, so it's easier to do it from there. I am getting ready to weld my little flange on right here. Got that side all ready, and that side's done. Panel's prepped, so we'll get this little guy welded in, and we should be ready to, pretty sure we should be ready to put this thing up there and weld it in place, then get these brackets ready to go. So probably set you up on time lapse, let you watch what I'm doing in fast motion, and we'll go from there. Okay, sorry guys, I had to lower the car down. I forgot to come move the time lapse, so you probably didn't see the ending of it there. So yeah, my fault. Anyway, we got this thing all buttoned up and turned out pretty good. That tail panel fit okay. The top flanges on each end were a little too high. I had to knock them down a little bit, and that distorts your body line just a hair. But overall, I'm pretty darn happy with how it came out. I mean, it is what it is. Where the rubber goes in, because I think it goes between the panel and the bumper. As per usual, the reproduction panel is a lot wider of a mouth. But, you know, when we go putting the rubber in there and pinching it closed, you'll never see it and it'll work. So anyway, here it is. So overall, I'm very happy with it. And as you can see, got really good fitment. And like I said, I got to grind these welds smooth still from where I made this replacement corner. But overall, gap's really good on each side. So I got a real good gap right here. And no, I mean, it's turned out perfect. So really can't complain at all. So there it is. Finally got us the tail panel section, and also got those braces in. So we'll kick this thing off. And these braces fit fairly decent. Tried to make them fit like they did on the other one, so they come out good as well. Now that tail panel is strengthened, and I'm pretty happy with those as well. Can't complain. And I think these things are like 60 bucks a piece buying them new. So the fact that that thing had them in such good shape, I mean, that almost, well, it did. It made it worth it to have all that stuff blasted. I think it was like a couple $100 to have all this stuff blasted, and those two pieces are worth 120 bucks alone. So you do the math there, and that's already saving you money. And I think these cargo floors are $1,600. So these came with the car, and we're gonna piece these things together and hopefully make them work. So it's probably what we'll be starting on next. This is gonna end off today for me. So I'm gonna get cleaned up, and we'll be prepping those floors and seeing what we got to do with those to get them in the car. So yeah, hopefully next clip here we'll be starting on those cargo floors. Okay, it's the next morning, and we got the cargo floors over here and got the one out here I'm going to use. So like I mentioned, got a patch panel to make here, and then luckily this where they cut along here, I can still see here and see the panel that I need to make to be able to weld back on to that. And when they torched this thing out, they left the old inner wheel wells. So I'm going through with a Sharpie and marking all my spot welds that I need to get out, as well as this old part of the old floor there with the old pinion snub. So basically what I'm gonna do, set the plasma cutter up, knock the centers out of those spot welds, and then take the step bit, clean those up, and be able to peel the old crap off. And it looks like the flange is in really good shape, the spot welds to the inner wheel wells back there. So should be able to knock that out. Hopefully it goes smooth. I think it'll go all right. So we will see. We'll go ahead and get this knocked out. So it should be a lot of spot welds to get out of here to do this right. I know we could probably just, you know, cut whatever off and make a new flange, but I really don't feel like doing all that welding. I want to do it as clean and as factory as possible, and it makes it nice just doing the spot welds, or, you know, rosette welds, whatever you want to refer to them as, since we don't have an actual spot weld machine. But anyway, I got all these things marked, so let's get to cutting. All right, just checking in real quick, and it's going awesome. Forgot how good this method works. Got this side done already. Just used the plasma, torched it out, then drilled it out with the step bit. So we got that junk flange out of there. And the original floor flange is in great shape all the way down to where they cut it. So makes my life really easy. And this side's going well. We just got them all torched out. So now we'll go through, take the step bit again, drill those out, peel that flange off. And then I'll go through and do it on this floor flange as well. And then that should put us right where we need to be, where we can start making the patch panel, fix the end of this thing, and should be able to start test fitting. Okay guys, just checking back in here as I'm tripping over everything. So we got this, the old front portion of the cargo floor cut out, which wasn't too bad. A lot of spot welds, and I'll show you why. So there's the old floor, but on the inner side here, you got this brace that the pinion snub actually spot welds to, which you can see some of the spot welds there I got to get out. But this brace goes on the bottom side of where the two floors meet. So I've got to try to salvage that, which is still in good shape. So I just got to finish basically getting the spot welds drilled out. So and there's where it used to mate. So that's all done. That's all done. And the back portion I can't do anything with until we mock this floor up. So basically, just to give my knees and body a little break, if you call this a break, we're gonna mock this floor up. So I gotta get in there, cut the old brace out, and then try to stuff this thing up in there and clamp it in place by myself. So we'll set you up on a time lapse and we'll see how it goes and see how many times I drop this thing. So hopefully none. Anyway, see how it goes. Okay, so right here at the beginning, I went ahead and cut out that 1x1 support bar I had back there and got it out of my way. And then after this, we went ahead and drug the floor over, which you will see here in just a second. And luckily, I actually didn't drop this thing, and it fit up in there really well. So I was pretty happy with the fitment. But then again, it is an original floor, so I kind of expected it to fit pretty decent. So anyway, yeah, this was the very first test fit, and it went better than expected. Okay, as you guys saw in that little time lapse there, I surprisingly didn't drop it putting it in there by myself. Now, it's sitting a little bit goofy because these braces right here, someone actually torched them off and left the ends, and I forgot to cut them off before I threw them in here, so that's why it's kind of sitting goofy right now. But I just need to know this thing is going to work before I finish it up, and I kind of needed to see where and how much of this panel I need to make, basically. So right now, you can see this side's fitting pretty good. And we got a little gap over here because I didn't use any clamps to pinch it together. So basically, once I cut those braces, the end of the braces off, I can be able to get this thing up where it needs to go and get it clamped, and then do some official measuring back here at the back. That way I can actually make my final panel. It'll run along here. And as you can tell, my spare tire tub is actually really close to where it needs to be anyway. So that'll pretty much get us where we need to go there. Good morning. It's the next day, and I got the floor. Can't remember what I filmed last, but anyway, I put the floor back in again after I trimmed those pieces of the old little rails off. So I'll show you. So we got it sitting right where it needs to be, which makes me happy because it tells me I got both of these pieces in the right spot. So if you notice, got that area cleaned up, got that area cleaned up. And being that I'm happy with where they're at, how this floor is sitting, everything's pretty much right where I want it. I'm going to go ahead and weld those in because I really don't want to pull this floor back out again. So basically I'll get this, because as that floor gets in there, I won't be able to get to those rail pieces to weld them in. So I'm going to go ahead and get those welded in first and foremost. That way they're done. And then we can focus back on this floor. And I'll pick up after I get this done and kind of show you guys what I'm thinking. Okay, now that I got those braces burned in, they're in there for good. And I think what I'm going to try to do is, I don't know, I may not have to, but I was hoping I didn't have to pull this floor pan back, or this cargo floor back out, like I said, but I may not have to, but we'll see. Anyway, I think I'm going to try to section off the piece that actually goes with that floor. And obviously I'll have to replace this corner and a little bit over here. But it might be nice to be able to use the middle section from that and re-seam it in, or re-weld it in. We will see. But first and foremost, I got to get this this brace off. So got to get some more spot welds out, get that going, get that knocked out so we can get over to getting this floor prepped and ready to basically weld in. Okay, just checking back in yet again, and I got this bracket attached, or I get attached. Detached from the old floor, and I highly recommend never doing this. I have a lot of time, so if they remake this piece, I'm not sure if they do, I never even checked, but I mean, it's still worth it for me to get it out to avoid the wait time of getting something bought and shipped. But here it is after getting all the spot welds drilled and torched out. Got the back side all smooth and cleaned up. And that was an awful process getting that thing. There was just a trillion spot welds because there's multiple layers that are attached to it. So whatever, it's officially ready to be spot welded in. So that's good to go. So now I am ready to move on to the back of this floor, which I am pretty happy about. So I think what I'm gonna do is go look at what I need to do to get this off, the back piece of that, and then we'll be ready to make it happen back here. So here we go. Okay guys, this has been quite the process salvaging all this stuff. So I kind of gave you a run through of where I'm at. A lot easier just to kind of catch you up than it is film while doing this stuff, because it's just so hard to try to have a ton of footage to go through and try to split things up when I can just kind of explain it. I know it's probably more fun to see the work, but for me to be able to concentrate and be able to get it done, a little bit easier for me. So we got everything scavenged off of this old rear section. So as you can see, we got the old floor section off. And then also right here in these little, you can see how this notches right here. There's a part of the braces that run front to back on the bottom of this cargo floor. And you'll see them here. They lay up on this piece. Well, someone torched through them when they cut this panel out. So I didn't know they were under there until I started drilling the spot welds out of that rear floor piece, and I saw them and they were in good shape. So I mocked everything up, and luckily they torched through them really clean where I cleaned up the edges, and I was able to just weld them right back on where they go. Now the floor is support. Now I see how the floor is supported. So as you can see, it's not buckled anymore. And the floor still needs some tweaking, you know, left to right and front to back. But as you can see, this side here is sitting a little forward than that side. So it needs a little tweaking, but I've already kind of had it moved around. I know it's going to work. So now that I got those re-welded in there, I can basically take this back panel piece and essentially get it tacked in where I want it, and then start replacing the ends of it. So should be pretty easy. So I think what I'm going to do, well, you know, I'm not sure how I'm going to tackle it yet. So I'll update you when I'm there and kind of fill you in on what the heck I'm doing. Okay, just wanted to check in real quick, because like I said, this has been pretty intricate trying to make this stuff work. And this is not the kind of stuff we normally do. This is kind of making chicken salad out of chicken poop. Just what we have to do, because I mean, these new floors are $1,600 plus shipping, and this one was in good enough shape that we can section it back together and do right by it. But this is not something I'm used to doing and never have, because we always do things the right way. And I'm not saying this isn't right. This would work for, you know, it works for what this car is, and it would work for a lot of other guys out there. But if this was like a client's car, this is not something we would ever do. But we're getting her welded in. There's the corner I had to hand make. So I still got to cut a little bit off this area there. But I've gotten all this pushed back together, and I'm getting it welded as I go. And then obviously we'll smooth it out, and I'll hammer and dolly this stuff, and it won't be all wavy. But as you can see, it lined back up. I'm basically just going to weld this thing up and smooth it out, hammer it back flat, spot weld it in, and hammer the front flat as well and get it spot welded in, and then spot weld all my sides. So it's fitting in there pretty good. I mean, can't complain for using something, an original floor, and being able to section it and salvage it like this is kind of impressive. It's kind of cool to know that I was able to do that, but it just feels so wrong. But at the same time, it's kind of cool. So anyway, it's lunchtime. I'm gonna go home, eat, and then come back, finish welding this thing, hammer and dolly it. And yeah, I gotta make a little piece in the corner right here. And then, yeah, flatten her out, weld her in, same with the front, flatten her out, weld it in, weld up the sides, and we will be done with floor work besides the toe boards. So that'll be kind of cool. So anywho, I'm gonna go eat and we'll catch back up after that. Not really filming a whole lot, but I'm just trying to get this thing knocked out because pretty much got to have this deal knocked out by the end of this week. Tomorrow's Friday. So just got the radiuses on the wheel tubs burned in. So now we are basically ready for that brace that you saw me cutting out earlier. That will go up here, and then we're ready to weld this seam here, and then weld our pinches on each side. So we're making headway. I'll probably end up finishing this stuff tomorrow morning, and then that'll do it on having the cargo floor in here. Okay, what's up guys? It's the next morning, and I think I left off showing you got the wheel well, or the front of the wheel well's burned in, and we got to do both sides and the front top lip and that bracket underneath. So, sorry I haven't filmed a whole lot with this process on the cargo floor. I know I've been showing you kind of going through it, but it was just a lot of work. So it was really hard to film it and be able to get it done in a timely manner. So here it is. Pretty happy with it. Like I said, we still got to weld that weld, or the flange there, and the flange up front. But overall, it looks pretty dang good. Everything lined right up. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So like I've talked about, that's not something we would normally do as a restoration project, but this just goes to show you that, you know, what you can do in your garage at home if you know how to weld and be able to salvage a piece like this. So this is some cool information if you're interested. So a new cargo floor is $1,600 plus shipping. So depending on, we're close to Restoration World, about 3 hours. So a lot of times they have a delivery truck that will deliver at half the cost. So $1,600 plus about $200 to $250 to deliver that. So you're talking $1,850 in a floor, plus taking the time to put it in and maybe modify it a little bit since it's a reproduction piece. This original piece is, you know, perfect minus that one corner that was rusted out, and then that little piece over here. With my time, I mean, it came with the car, so it was essentially free, and just my labor of making this thing work. So it just worked out better. We actually even did the math. The time I have in on this floor, even at our shop rate, we would have only had $1,400 in modifying this, not really modifying, but prepping this floor and getting it installed and welded in. So it still came out cheaper, and you got an original floor, which is better quality than the new stuff. So, like I said, it's not something we would normally do here, but being that it's our own personal shop car and we got to work with what we work with because the budget just isn't there, and it worked out. So it's pretty cool. Just, you know, I mean, gosh, we would have had, if we would have had it freighted here, $1,600 plus probably $400 to have it shipped. So you're talking there's $2 grand, and then plus my time to install it. So we easily saved $1,000 just me taking a few days to do this thing. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with it, and we're gonna go ahead and start getting everything up front prepped to get that brace in and get it welded up top, and then weld our flanges. So I'm gonna quit rambling and we'll get to work. Okay, now we're in the car, as you can tell, which is super weird being in this car with a floor, especially from front to back. It just doesn't seem right. But anyway, so when we drilled all these spot welds out, a lot of them were so, because there was 3 layers. You gotta think you had the bracket, the floor, and then the cargo floor. So drilling these spot welds out wasn't an easy time. So the holes are a little bit bigger than we would normally use to rosette weld. So I'll kind of show you what I'm talking about. Like areas where they were like spotted multiple times, we got a big hole there. You know, these holes are a little bigger, but are doable. So basically what I want to tell you is once I get this flattened out and get my surface cleaned up to spot weld this stuff, what I like to do on the big holes is I'll actually run, once I flatten this out, obviously, I'll run little tacks kind of around in a circle, and then that gives me a good base because it not only welds the floor, but kind of makes the hole smaller. And then you can do a nice rosette weld, a nice circular puddle, and then it looks like just one solid spot weld. That's just kind of the best way I know to do it on big holes like that, or else you'll just burn through, blow through, and it'll look like bird poo. So I may show you what I'm talking about if I remember, but all this stuff's ready to kind of be hammered and put back into place. So I'll probably start in here, get this done, and then we'll move back under the car to do the side flanges as well as the brace underneath. So anyway, let's get to it. Okay, we are finished up. I left off showing you guys I was welding the front, but anyway, I got that brace as best spotted in as we could. Being that this is a new floor pan and you see some holes right there, I'm gonna go back and fill. I didn't necessarily get right up against the floor pan just because, for one, I tweaked the heck out of it trying to get it separated, and two, it doesn't fit as perfect as it does with an original floor pan. But overall, the fit's really nice. So I can't complain. As you can see, we got the cargo floor all burnt in there. We got the quarters all burnt in. We got this welded back up here where it was from the factory. As you can see, all spot welded down there. All spot welded down there, as well as this quarter. So overall, everything is finished up. So I'll drop this thing down a little bit, and we'll get one last look from the inside, and that'll do it for this one. Okay, here we go. Now, obviously, I haven't smoothed anything out yet. I'm pretty happy with how my panel turned out, and I've already got a, oops, there we go. I already got some rubber pieces to slip in here, kind of similar to the factory. And other than that, everything lined up really well. Everything spot welded in really nice. Burn in on all the sides, and all the sides, and then fully welded up front there as well. So kind of wild seeing this thing with a full floor in it from front to back. Now I know we got the toe boards to fix, but we just are waiting on the panels. So pretty stoked. So here it is from here. New floor all the way back into the cargo, fully done. Kind of weird having a floor in it again, but it's nice. This thing is solid as a rock now, and now you try to move it and the car doesn't want to shimmy anymore. So imagine that. Actually got some stability back in it. Okay, that's gonna do it for this one. Pretty happy to have a full floor back in this thing. And being that we're still waiting on the toe boards, we'll probably get back with another video when those come in. But that'll pretty much do it for this one. I am going to smooth these welds out, and then we'll get some primer on everywhere, get the seam sealer in the right place as they go, and get this thing all protected. But as for now, it's going to be inside, so we can get some of that coming so I can get that done. And yeah, that's going to wrap up this video and the series of getting the floor and rust repair done. So couldn't be happier with how it turned out, especially getting to repurpose an original cargo floor. But anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you then.